Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from wherever you're joining us. My name is Ali Hirji, and I have the pleasure of working at Durham College's AI Hub and the Center for Cybersecurity Innovation. I also happen to teach a couple of courses in AI and cybersecurity, and it's been my pleasure to be the host of today's Careerxpo. You know how we spoke about that idea that in security, in technology, it's always a work in progress. There's never a finish line, there's just mileposts and accomplishments posts the whole way through the line. Our final session for today is going to focus on an industry where you may not necessarily imagine that technology has a huge role to play. But instead, what was previously unimaginable has now become a reality. I'm going to take you to a quote by Pablo Picasso, where he says, "Computers are useless. They only give you answers." And to a degree, working in the world of AI, I kind of agree with him, because sometimes you just go with those answers. Let's go into the mindset as to how did that computer come to that decision. At the end of the day, as I've said repeatedly, humans are the reproductive organs of technology. My discussion today is going to focus on how technology has been implemented in a sector where you may not necessarily see how easily it translates. My guests today are not only individuals who are leaders in this space, they're individuals who have given back to the community by working with our students at Durham College. They've worked with a variety of different institutions, and they've made technology into truly not just a process of collaboration, they've made it into a process of community, rendering quality service and value par excellence rates. We're joined together today for the final session of Careerxpo with leaders from Precise Parklink, who lead not only their technology arms, but also their marketing and business development arms, to talk to you about their journey in applying technologies like AI and security to the world of parking, but also to tell you about what they're looking for in their next set of hires. I'm going to turn it over to the team at Precise Parklink, starting with Maria. Maria, please introduce yourself and tell us what is it that you do at Precise Parklink.
Hi there, Ali, and thanks again for having us on your show today. I'm the marketing manager here at Precise Parklink. My name is Maria Lato, and I work pretty regularly with our research and development team here and IT team here at Precise Parklink on all the products and all the products that they create.
Fantastic. And I do want to talk to you a little bit about the products and how you position them in the marketplace and how you deliver that value. And we'll come to that as we go deeper into our session. My next individual who's going to be joining me is Hebert. Hebert, I'm going to turn it over to you to tell us a little bit about your role and what excites you about your work at Precise Parklink.
Hi guys, I'm Hebert Cheng. I'm a senior systems engineer in the R&D department, and I work on a bunch of different solutions such as card access systems, intercoms, and development of integrated solutions. What really excites me at Precise Parklink is getting to work with the whole team with various different backgrounds and experiences to work together and create new integrated solutions. And it's really fun every day, hands-on work, and just working with everyone else is pretty fun.
Fantastic. And I've said this repeatedly in other sessions. It's not just about the technical skills of the job. It's also about who you work with. And the fact that you're having fun, the fact that you're able to learn and share and make mistakes and build from that really makes for some of the key ingredients of an essential workplace. So thank you, Hebert, for that introduction. And my last individual with a background of very, very intense arithmetic and flowcharts behind him is Abhadesh Sharma. Abhadesh, tell us what is it that you do at Precise Parklink and what is that background?
Hi, Ali. My name is Abhadesh and I'm the Senior Systems Engineer for Precise Parklink. I work in research and development. I've been with the company for almost 11 years now. Yeah. The background is all a network of our systems which we have, and we were designing how we will integrate all the data centers from one end to another and how we will tighten the security. That is what it is in our day-to-day life. What excites me, you asked Hebert, I saw that, is that in 11 years, I would say there's never have been another year where I'm repeatedly doing the same thing. Every time it's a new thing, which keeps on getting us going again and again.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And Abhadesh, I'll tell you a little bit about my own story. And this applies to everybody that's listening and my panelists as well. When I joined Durham College in 2018, Precise Parklink was and still is one of the leading partners of the college and well respected across different regions in Ontario, let alone Durham region alone. When I thought a little bit about it, and I thought that our students were doing work in parking services, I was a little taken aback. But there was a student who told me something, saying, it's different. People sort of laugh at us because we're different. We laugh at them because they're all the same. We're looking at new areas where we can apply the knowledge that we have, which takes me to the first question, Herbert. Herbert, in the space of parking services, how essential is digitization, especially now with the progress that we've made in AI? How can parking services get optimized through the digitization work that you do?
Well, Ali, digitization has always been quite critical to the parking services sector, especially now with the pandemic. Everything is moving towards virtual. In this day and age of technology, we tend to prefer digital interactions more than physical, but with our parking equipment, 98% of our transactions are now managed by technology. In the very beginning, our parking equipment would take coins and even paper bills.
Yeah.
But from there, we moved on to accepting credit card payments, including tap and mobile pay. And even now, we're using smartphone apps to pay for parking sessions. Recently, we've also started to use AI to deliver new experiences to our customers, obviously with help from the Durham College ORC program. Our recent project with them allowed us to deliver a virtual parking assistant using AI. The main objective of this solution was to provide assistance to customers when a parking attendant was not available. The solution would provide verbal responses, as well as displaying images and videos to the customer requiring help.
Yep.
If the AI solution was unable to assist the customer, it connects them back to our 24/7-hour iPark monitoring station, where they can carry on a virtual face-to-face interaction for assistance. The next project we hope to work on is to apply AI predictions for parking operations within our Park Suite Business Intelligence platform. Taking advantage of AI to predict trends such as optimal parking rates and peak times will enable our clients to optimize their parking operation and even revenues.
I definitely want to come back to the aspect of data. I've said this in another session that, in God we trust, everybody else must bring data. And I really want to go into those details about what constitutes data in the parking space and what some of the folks who are in data sciences need to be thinking about when we think about the work that you do. We'll park that aside and park ourselves and link ourselves to another element of all of this. And that is, as in this hyper digitization, hyper virtualization, I've been a very stoic fan of mentioning that, never trust a computer that you cannot throw out of the window. And I hold that true because of a lot of work that I've done in public sectors and in the fintech sector as well. Abhadesh, with all of the AI-based geniuses that are coming out of PPL, how do you ensure that the firms or the data integrity and the cybersecurity posture remains strong?
So Ali, what happens is that when we do developments, first of all, we make sure that all the sensitive card information or any information which could potentially damage is always dealt very securely.
Yeah.
So what we do is whenever we are doing any credit card solution development, we always perform using test credit cards. So any bank acquirer that we do certification with, such as Moneris or Global Payments, they always provide us with a suite of credit cards from each card brand. We take those cards and we do the certifications with them. During the course of time, if we figure out there are some loopholes or anything which has some potential to get damaged, we tighten all the security before even putting a product into the market. So when we know that everything is complying with all the security guidelines, that is when we do put the product in the market. Now, there are a lot of virtual payment platforms as well. So what we do is whenever we design our solutions, we keep in mind the security of the sensitive card information. All our virtual payment solutions employ payment frames, which are directly loaded onto the banking servers in our secure level 1 PCI compliant data centers. No sensitive information is ever passed to the virtual platforms. Once the transaction is completed, only partial information, the masked information like the first 6 and last 4 and all the other sensitive information is hidden. That masked information is then provided for records keeping to the application. So in this way, we make sure that the journey of a credit card is all and all the sensitive information is completely secured and obscured from the virtual portals.
Fantastic. And I definitely want to come back to this element of DevSecOps and how you're able to orchestrate security at every aspect of the development work that you're doing. I want to go to Maria because we've heard not only about the work that you folks are doing in data sciences and in AI, but we're also hearing about the various compliance frameworks like PCI DSS that your team has to stay true to at all times, given that parking never really goes to sleep. Maria, how is it that you're playing a role, PPL specifically, in making sure that you're able to gather the right talent pool to support these innovative developments at Precise Parklink?
Well, the opportunities at Precise are always emerging, as I'm sure you've witnessed over the past few years working with us. When we were founded just over 30 years ago now, the company was just a 2-person field operation with an aspiration to make a difference in the world of parking automation. Since then, we've grown into a nationwide full-service parking technology firm with over 700 employees across the nation, our head office being in Toronto and 11 supporting offices across the country. And our R&D and IT teams form a large part of our employee base. And they're commonly referred to as our technological backbone because they really are involved in everything that we do and everything that we provide. So Precise's reputation in the industry is largely in part due to their efforts in thinking beyond the machine, developing secure and innovative solutions that constantly create a need for new talent, and especially within the R&D and IT space, but also in supporting roles such as marketing or sales or technicians and whatnot. So one of the ways that we actively choose to grow our talent pool is by partnering with leading college programs such as Durham College's ORSI program. We love welcoming students and recent grads to our community, not only because they bring an element of youth and enthusiasm to the entire organization, but also because they join with creative and open mindsets. And a lot of the time, we know that we're selecting the right talent because we've worked with them through their student careers or through internship programs. And we know whether or not they're reliable and what background they come from and what their experience really entails. So as you know, the opportunities in the software world are endless. We're constantly trying to keep up with the demand for the solutions that our top engineers are developing. And right now, opportunities that are emerging within the space range from simple web integration with API, full-fledged integration with hardware, as well as back-end UX and UI developers.
Fantastic. Now, Maria, I do want to go into some questions around how COVID-19 has impacted your operations, but there is a question that's come up twice, and I'm going to stitch it in a bit of a different way and go from Hebert to Abhadesh and see what they think about that. And this is on the aspect of secure DevOps, right? Hebert, let's start with you, where, when you've got all this data, you've got data coming in from multiple sources. Where are people parking? You probably have other forms of data that you can open source in, that you have sensors that give you some data sets as well. The reality is that many people think about AI and think that it's surgically precise, but it's not. You need to have test beds in place. You need to test your technology before you release it. You need to be conscious of the bias that's there. You need to test the validity, so on and so forth. What kind of test bed environments have you created for your technology? Hebert?
At Precise, we try to test everything in-house. It's quite difficult to be AI ready, actually. So that's a really big challenge we've had in the past, is really being AI ready. With the amounts of data that we have, like you said, through transactions and all the parking equipment feeding us all the data, we've got to make sure that it's really secure in our servers. So all our servers are quite secure. Our network is secure with a bunch of firewalls and other cybersecurity prevention systems. So with that being said, we try our best to have our transaction data and everything secure, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, and I think it's about the toolkit that you've created for security, right? It's not just the checkbox element of, oh, we've done something where our servers are compliant. You do have to do repeated checks and compliance and assessments. And Abhadesh pointed towards that, which I really appreciate. Abhadesh, this question sort of extends from what Hebert was talking about, is as you're putting out more technologies, touchless payments, so on and so forth, or app-based payments and whatever else have you, do you also take it upon yourself to at least educate some of your users on some best practices when they're using digital technology for their parking services? Do you have any programs along that end?
So what happens is that when we design any app and portal, we have to make sure that we make them fail safe.
Yep.
As in, if we rely too much into letting the customer decide what is going to happen in terms of credit card security and all that, then they might not be the right person to make sure that it is all safe. So we have to take it all upon ourselves
Right.
to keep that information safe. So that is why when we design the portal, what happens is that the payment frame, which is loaded at the time the payment is being made, even though it is happening on their digital platform, the information is directly being entered into our servers, which are in our data center.
Yep.
Now, elaborating on what we have in our data centers, we are level 1 PCI compliant. We do more than 6 million transactions a year. And we follow through all the PCI security guidelines in terms of environment security, which is not just a network environment, it's also a physical environment, that the servers are not accessible. They are always in a locked area, always monitored. We also make sure that they are audited. We go through PCI audits periodically, which are very extensive. They go through and do a full-fledged analysis of any loophole in the system, even if the credit card numbers are in the memory or any sensitive information that is present. We have to make sure that it's all as per the guidelines provided to us. It's a very secure industry, and we have to abide by all the rules for that. And we make sure that everything is upon ourselves to make sure that the journey of credit card information is safe, instead of relying on people's perspective that how they can put the information in most so.
Absolutely. And I think that that conversation around how security becomes not just the security personnel's problem, but everybody else's responsibility is crucial. One of the things that we spoke about, well, at Cyber Exchange 2.0 was this aspect of insider threats. And remembering that securing the digital environment alone is one step, but the physicality as well. Who has access to the office at what time? And to our audience that's listening, many of you would recall that at Cyber Exchange 2.0, alongside Michael Ball and I believe Mark Dillon, who's the Vice President of IT at Waterloo Hydro, we spoke about this idea where cleaners and overnight cleaning staff were becoming an interesting source of information for hackers. Because people leave things on their desk, and the cleaners come at night and conduct their services, and they can pick up something from your desk. Very, very interesting shifts in the world of audit and compliance. And to our listeners, I will remind you that audit and compliance is a skill set in and of itself. Farouk Nair, the CISO of Orion, is an expert in compliance, as an example, and it's an art that many cybersecurity professionals have perfected. So thank you for bringing that up, Abhadesh, and clarifying the extent of the audits that you go through, not just once a year, but regularly. Maria, we've got about 25 minutes left, and I know our audience is interested in learning about the impact that the new normal has had on your space. Less people traveling, less people going in their cars, less people going to downtown Toronto, for example, more people working from home. How has Precise Parklink been able to use technology to pivot into the new normal?
Yeah, that's a great question. Like any other business, we've definitely been affected by the pandemic. And first and foremost, ensuring the health and safety of our employees, partners, clients, and the general public is our top priority here at Precise. Like any other workplace, we put in place numerous protocols that allow us to continue to work safely in office. Virtual customer assistance, on the other hand, has also become more prevalent than it was already in the past. Our existing virtual communications and remote monitoring technology is now being used from the back end at our head office, but also by our on-site parking staff to screen visitors who wish to enter their parking offices. In addition to our internal strategies, however, we've made sure that our clients can continue to operate safely as well. As Canada's leading parking provider for hospitals and airports, from day one, we were designated as an essential service. So to us, this meant more than just maintaining our services. It meant that we had to adapt fast and develop or speed up our developments in place so that our clients could continue to operate safely. Fortunately, our focus on technology put us ahead of the curve, as a lot of our contactless solutions were already in place at our partner sites. However, as the times continued to rapidly evolve, our R&D team took the lead early on to evaluate what this actually meant for the future of parking. How is it going to affect us? How is it going to affect our clients and the general public? Like you said, a lot of people are staying home. No one's really driving and parking unless they need to, especially during the first wave. So
Absolutely.
they worked Yeah, they worked day and night to enable our clients with the technology required to meet the health and safety realities of today, resulting in a full suite of touchless solutions under our Park Safe program. These solutions largely consist of hardware and software upgrades to our existing technology. And yeah, it's a full suite of touchless journeys. So our touchless solutions transform day-to-day parking interactions. They've helped set a sturdy foundation for our clients to transition after the first wave, but they've also helped pave the way for future developments, hopefully long after this pandemic is over. I'll pass it on to Abhadesh to explain a little bit about each product and service within the touchless package.
Sure. So we have introduced many new initiatives to help our clients adjust to this new normal. In many car parks, traditionally the parking is always you go in, you touch a button, you press a button, you take the parking ticket, and that's the start of the parking journey. What we have done is we have installed motion sensors to replace the need to press the button. So for example, our newest solution, we call it Easy Wave, requires you to just go, and as soon as you are in front of the gate, you just wave your hand and it gives you a parking ticket. And you can just get the ticket and get into the lot. Where there are very high volume parking facilities where it becomes more difficult to get all these motion sensors in place, what we have introduced is auto dispense advanced tickets. So as soon as a vehicle is detected in front of the gate, the system automatically prints a ticket and it's ready for the customer to just take it in and enter into the facility. Moreover, we also introduced mobile payments for parking, both in gated lots and non-gating parking facilities. Yeah. Our product, Parked In, we have designed it to be so flexible that all you need to do is just scan the QR code on your ticket and you can make the payment. You do not need to download anything. You can just go ahead, scan it through the camera. It takes you to the page where it is supposed to go. It'll show you the price, what you owe, you make the payment. Once you do the payment, that ticket is ready to go out. The same ticket, you go to the exit, you scan the barcode and you're out. Now, we also have introduced the apps for some quality of life services, like you can get to see your transaction history and all the information about your account, but there's no compulsion to download an app because there's too much of app fatigue going on in the industry these days. Yeah. We're also promoting and introduced now the credit card and out features, where a customer can tap a credit card to enter the facility and tap the same credit card to complete the parking transaction and pay for it. As with other industries, what we have also done is increase the base limit for the credit card transactions. It used to be somewhere around $50 to $100. We have also increased it as per the industry demand. So we have made it so flexible that the card brands can control how much they will allow in a tap transaction, reducing the need for any contact in terms of inserting the card or swiping the card. Lastly, to promote a completely frictionless solution, we are also working to educate our clients on endless contactless possibilities that come from the license plate recognition. So we have introduced license plates which have an algorithm that take the picture of the vehicle, get the license plate, and we can track it. Those license plate can then be used for reservations. So automatic entry, as soon as that plate is detected, you are allowed to get into the gate. We can provide validations. We can get instant access for registered visitors. So LPR takes ticketless Parklink to new heights. And we expect to see more and more parking lots in the industry to be using license plates these days, removing the need for buttons, tickets, and everything. Your ticket license plate will be your unique ticket credential to get in and out of the facility. So as you can see, we've introduced a wide array of contactless functionalities for our clients to choose from, enabling them to keep their visitors and the organizations safe during these times.
Thank you for that detailed breakdown, Abhadesh. And I want to work with that just a little bit and go back to Herbert. And Herbert, this question sort of props up in my own mind when I think about, let's take a statement, right? Like Satya Nadella said that as a result of COVID-19, in the last 6 months, or rather he said, to be specific, in the last 3 months, we've seen 3 years worth of innovation happen. The speed, the acceleration, everything was required day before yesterday. How have you been able to get your teams oriented to this speed of development, especially if they've been working remotely?
Yeah, it's quite hard actually. That's why, like, we as a group, we're a team of 20, and half of them are almost developers now. And it's basically moving from one project to another and trying to basically finish as soon as possible. Because there's so many projects all at once, we have to prioritize the different projects and try and work in phases and try and push out our products as soon as possible. With some of our developers working at home, we still do have virtual meetings on a daily schedule, so that we're all in sync and everyone's working on at their own pace as well.
Fantastic. Maria, questions come in which I think would apply to you, and that is more about the communications that you've been having with your customers and your clients. There's obviously a fear of using certain equipment, so on and so forth. How have you been able to scale your communications to ensure that your clients know what's available to them and know what resources are available in the event that something goes wrong? You mentioned the fact of being an essential service. That means that many institutions like hospitals rely heavily on smooth flow of traffic in and out. What have you had to do with your communications plans?
I think first and foremost, like especially during the first wave, it was making sure that we were prepared and always one step ahead, whether it was, coming up with solutions that same week. It was March 10th when everything kind of broke loose, right? And coming up with solutions for them. How could we reduce physical touch points on site? And then, entering transitioning out of the first wave, it was kind of making sure again that we were one step ahead and we had a transition plan in place for them. So phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, how are we going to transition into our new normal? So we broke it down from sites that had gated with on-site staff to sites that just had parking meters and no staff. There was a bunch of different types of plans in place that we made sure to communicate well with them. And then also we put together our touchless solutions package, which kind of broke down all the different contactless solutions that, obviously include hardware and software solutions, but they also included stuff like safety signage packages. How do your visitors know which door to enter through when they get on site? Since, a lot of people are saying exit this way and enter this way. So stuff like that, just making sure that we were always prepared, one step ahead and readily available to answer their questions, and just making sure that the information was laid out easily for them.
I really love the response that you gave us because, and in all of your responses, one of the key things that's come out of this is not just the ability to communicate clearly. It's about realizing that as technology developers and as a technology company that happens to be in the world of parking, customer service and being able to ensure that you can get to that question before it's even asked, right? I always say this in the classes. So many of my students who are working with you, who study with me, tell them all the time, the smart people will solve a problem. The intellectuals, the real geniuses, will prevent it from happening in the first place. And to be proactive and to be able to predetermine what some of those challenges are and have that signage there, etc., goes a very, very long way. We've got a few more minutes, and Abhadesh, I want to come back to you about something. And I don't know if this applies to your portfolio, but perhaps you can speak to it even at a high level. In our previous session, we were talking to a cybersecurity consultant by the name of Graham Berry, who runs a firm called Net Mechanics. So it's almost like a garage for security. And he talked about this idea of many firms were caught unaware. Did you have a pandemic planning program? Did you have something where you thought, in the event, as a risk and a governance factor, in the event that a disaster was to hit, we would lose electricity or would lose something? Did you have some sort of emergency DevOps plan?
So Ali, being in the banking industry, banking is one of our core platforms, and redundancy and being ready for the worst, always we have to be up on our tippy toes for that. So we have our data center, which is always redundant. We have more than one network line coming in. We have more than one source of power. We have more than one source of firewalls. We have more than one source of internet service providers. We have our Barracuda firewalls, where load balancers, which switch from one network to another in case of the outage. And to be more precise, just because banking is so critical, we not only have two, but we have three network providers, which are providing internet outage. So we can handle not just one outage, but two outages as well. We have generators in-house to provide this support for electricity in case something happens. So we have to be ready for that in all cases. So COVID was just a test for us, but we, as I said, being banking as one of the core platforms of precise parking, we have to be always ready for these kind of scenarios if something were to be lost.
Definitely. I like the way you put that. COVID was a test for us, and it seems like you've come through with flying colors. You get a virtual cookie, all of you do. Maria, I want to ask you about, we've got a lot of listeners who are not just graduates. We have folks in other firms who are interested in seeing where they would be going next. Can you shed a little bit of light on the positions that you are hiring for?
Yes, of course. So as I mentioned earlier, employment opportunities are always emerging at Precise. At this point in time, we are currently hiring for a senior developer and have opportunities available for student internships as well. In the future, we will also be opening sales and marketing positions for those who are technologically inclined and can speak to our hardware and software solutions. That's currently what we have.
And I have to commend you for another fact, and we've seen this in a lot of companies, but a lot more so in Precise Sparkling, given the scale of your company, is it's not just the diversity from a multicultural standpoint, but the diversity of thought. I think diversity has numerous elements to it, and you folks go above and beyond to bring students into your fold. Are there any student-specific programs, internships that you're planning to run in the coming future?
So I can speak for myself for sure. Every summer, we always have a marketing internship open. And then R&D works all year round with students, a lot of them being from the Durham College programs, but a few other colleges as well. And then some of our other departments as well, I know like our operations team and whatnot, they're pretty open to student internships as well. So we're pretty open to student internships and experience throughout all of our departments.
Absolutely. And for those who are watching this session right now on cyberexchange.ca, shout out to the CyberX team for all of the media graphics that they've been doing. So you see those notes in the bottom there will have the Precise Parklink website. During the CISO Forum Canada, of which I'm one of the co-chairs, there will also be some ads playing from Precise Parkling, which I ask you to take a look at, because if you're looking for your next opportunity, there's some great ways to connect with them. A few more minutes, and I want to go to one last question, which comes from a little bit of a technical background, but whoever feels free. Abhadesh, should probably start with you, and Herbert will close with you and then come to a soft landing. Abhadesh, and that's the question of, in this space of parking management where you're processing nearly 6 million transactions a day, what's your vendor management process like? Like, what kind of standards do you hold some of your vendors to in order to ensure that the high standards that you've set are followed across the board?
So Ali, what we do is that our vendors who are supporting us, we also have contracts with them, but we also have, as Herbert mentioned, we have a staff of 20 engineers in our R&D department itself. We have an in-house repair department. We have an in-house production department, and the team is extensively trained. So we are always constantly working with our vendors to provide us training in terms of everything that they're releasing. We also should be able to do level 1, level 2, level 3 support ourselves. Many of our vendors are across the globe, so sometimes the time differences also play a part. So we make sure that we are very highly trained in our offices to support immediate needs. And at any time we need the vendors, we are always making sure that we have enough contacts that we can get to. And there's an agreement as SLA, which is always providing them up to 4 hours of support at any given moment of time.
Fantastic. And Abhidesh, I think one of the things that I'm hearing, at least as I'm listening to it, is, in future sessions, it would be great to have you, especially to discuss some of the challenges and how you've overcome them. I'm sure that, your threat intelligence data probably reveals quite a lot, and how you act on all of this and the frameworks that you deploy, especially from a proactive standpoint. You can use that for a discussion topic at some other time. One really interesting question, which just popped up in my head, is the aspect of, where do we see autonomous vehicles and parking intersecting? Herbert, I want to start with you. As you may know, Durham College does have a autonomous vehicle integration network led by Chris Gillis, and a lot of work happening around smart mobility. Where do you see those developments intersecting with the work that you're doing? You're on mute, and that's the line of 2020.
Oh, sorry. So autonomous vehicles, yeah, we haven't really gone into autonomous vehicles yet, but I think it's going to change the way parking really works. For sure. Just even how it's going to kind of be coming in within the parking lots and everything like that. But right now, in terms of what we offer, we do offer what do you call it? Parking guidance systems, which basically help guide people that are driving their cars into the garage, where to park. So it's not as close to autonomous vehicles, but it is to the guidance point of view of where spots are available, and just to improve the flow of the garage.
Fantastic. Now we're coming close to the conclusion, and I do want to thank you all for all of your time and your support and everything that we've done today. I do want to get some closing comments in, starting with Maria. And Maria, can you tell us the one thing that's really kept you passionate about the work that you're doing?
To be honest, I mean, Precise really is a great company to work for because we are a full service solution. So everything from having an in-house R&D team to having an in-house construction and a maintenance team. We do everything from start to finish that's parking related. So it keeps things fresh and always different. And we're always working, like I said, to keep ourselves one step ahead. So it's always something new that's emerging in the field. So, I mean, just learning about everything parking related keeps me motivated, but I think it also comes down to our corporate culture in the sense where the owners of our company, we're a privately owned company, they're constantly reinvesting into the company and making sure that we are one step ahead. Our philosophy really is simple. It's to build for growth. And that's what we've done. For the past 2 decades now, we've been expanding exponentially. So as a 100% Canadian owned company, that's something that we are all very, very proud of and to be a part of. So yeah, I think it comes down to just building for growth and being a part of it and witnessing the growth that's taking place.
I think it's quite an honor to have that stamp to say this is a made in Canada solution and to be a part of that growth and to attract. And I will say this, bringing in students, some of whom are international as well, and welcoming them to the Canadian fabric, you play a huge role in that. So thank you for everything that you do. Abhadesh, will go to you and then we'll come to a landing with Herbert. Abhadesh, with so much going on in this industry, students sometimes get overwhelmed with how much they need to know. What are some best tips you can give to our student listeners or other professionals that are listening? We have about 90 odd people listening on how they can stay current with new security technologies.
So with security, it keeps on changing on a daily basis. We all see, as before COVID, there was a barrier about how much payment you could have made with the tap, and above that, you have to insert your card. That changed. So security is as per the situation you are in. We have to always stay current and adapt as much as possible. They are PCI version 3, version 4. The devices which we use to general public, it looks like just a payment device. But for us, when we go into, we understand that what is in the guts of those devices. We are seeing the devices which are the security is expired. So we need to make sure that the security of this device needs to be changed and we have to adapt to them. So that is what happens these days, and we have to always keep current and keep moving.
Thank you very much. One of the things that I always also like to tell my students, when many of whom work with you as well, is one of the things that I tell them is, also look at the medium through which you're learning, right? And I'm a firm believer in the fact that, listen, books don't need batteries. Carry a book sometimes, get out of the technology sometimes and divorce yourself from it to read something different. There are a lot of good texts that are out there from a security perspective, from an AI perspective, that you should be taking in and have some good practice on taking in new information on a daily basis. Herbert, will close with... Yeah, go ahead.
And as you said, Ali, that the parking industry, it's surprising that what parking industry has to offer. Parking is no longer just a barrier going up and down. Parking these days is a well-oiled architecture of electric motors controlled by smart gates, which constantly communicates with operating systems, databases. Parking has grown from just being a physical access to the parking facility to the first and last point of customer experience at the site.
Absolutely.
We at Precise Parklink believe that we have a major role to play in providing that customer satisfaction for the day-to-day life of the users. And we're constantly thinking forward and coming up with ways to revolutionize the parking industry, keeping up with the trends and the demands of the society.
Absolutely. And I couldn't have said it better that Precise Parklink is the first and the last mile of the customer experience. And I think that needs to be recognized. So kudos to your team. Herbert, we'll come to closing with you. I've said this repeatedly. Innovation is not set in stone. It's set in jello, if anything. If people have ideas for new products or new concepts, is there like a feedback box, a digital one that they can drop their ideas into or make requests?
Yeah, I think on our website, you can always send in some comments. I think we have a Facebook page and I think Instagram and probably Twitter. So you can always drop us a line, and we're always open to new ideas. We love new ideas, and we always have room to start something new.
Fantastic. Well, With that, we come to the end of the Careerxpo. Tomorrow, we're going to launch the Collegiate Penetration Testing Competition. Ontario Tech, Durham College, University of Ottawa, University of, I think it's Victoria. We have Mohawk College, Centennial College, and a couple of others that are going to be competing in a competition led by CyberX, IBM, and Rochester Institute of Technology. Keynote is tomorrow night, 7 p.m. EST. Competition, unfortunately, closed door. Begins on Saturday at 8 a.m. and runs for 24 hours. After that, the Canadian CISO Forum, and after that, the Intercontinental CISO Forum. Thank you all for joining us. And let me tell you what I learned from this fascinating exchange. I've had the pleasure of working both technically and non-technically with the team at Precise Parklink. Their time at Durham College predates me, so I've never really gone into the depths of their work and never really intruded because they just have such a brilliant process and a method to their madness. I step in when needed, but I've learned so much from their practice of openness, of diversity of thought, but diversity of talent as well. And I appreciate how they've created a culture of innovation here in Canada, Ontario. You probably have heard me say this before, but when you're working in a technology role, look up the roles that are available at Precise Parklink. Whether it's in marketing or communications, remember, or it's in technology in terms of DevOps, you do have an opportunity to speak to the technology, either through code or through natural language. Take a look at the opportunities that are available and reach out to them. You've heard me say this before. Innovation is not about what's the next product that's going to go on the stands. It's about, do we need the stands to begin with? Precise Parklink is a very good example of that. Thank you for your time, and I'll see you in the green room. Everybody have a wonderful rest of the day, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are. Take care. Bye.
Thanks, Ali.